Oh, I think I'm on. Yes, I am. I think it worked. See if I'm on.
Yeah, Lisa's looking it up. Hang on.
This is fantastic. It's my first time ever doing it. Oh, somebody joined. Tiffany joined. Okay, I think I'm doing it right. I'm going to let you go, cousin.
All right, bud. Good job. Go get them.
Oh, this is awesome. Hi, everybody. I didn't know what I was doing, and I tried to get out. I'm not good with computers. And so I was on the phone with my cousin panicking because I couldn't get it to work. How are you? Good morning. Everybody grab your coffee. I was sitting here earlier trying to find an angle where you couldn't see my second and third chin, but I had to give up on that too. So I've been wanting to do this for a really long time. Well, everybody's been asking me, why don't you do kind of a talk, kind of a Monday or Tuesday talk with all the teachers where we can kind of get together and you just do all these different faculty meetings, because it's been such a success with changing lives, all of the stuff that we do with the owners, with the faculty. And, when I go into studios, it's kind of my favorite thing to do. So there's a couple of topics that I want to talk about. And, one of the things about it is I'm just openly honest. And I kind of feel like that I say things that we're all thinking that nobody just really wants to say. So let me make sure my phone's off. I will tell you that I have a slew of animals here, and my housekeeper will be here, Miss Ida, here in a second. So the dogs are going to go crazy. Just stay with me. This is going to be fun. We're going to become good friends. If everybody will get a pad of paper with me, because I want to do a couple of exercises with you, and I want you to write some of these things down. The first thing that I always try to talk to people about when it comes to their teaching, the first thing that I want us to get away from is saying that we're a teacher. I want us to start speaking about ourselves as an educator. Because when I look at the definition of it, there we go. And so let's get it out of the way. Let's just get it out of the way right now. Perfect. It says teacher, a person who teaches, especially in school. Great. But an educator is one skilled in teaching, one who is an authority of methods or theories of teaching. So I'm down with that. Let's go with educator. Hi, Miss Ida. My first question to you is, why'd you start teaching in the first place? What was your reasoning that you started teaching dance? I'd love for you to write this answer down, because I want you to kind of go back, and we're going to be discussing these things more on a weekly basis. What made you fall in love with it? What was it about teaching kids different levels? And we're all going to be talking about different things, because some of us might be teaching different levels. You might teach just the pre-kids. You might just teach, hey, Clint. You might just be teaching, the teens. You might be teaching the preteens. And we're going to discuss all those different levels. But why did you start teaching in the first place? And why did you fall in love with it? Because most of the times, let's be honest, we forgot about all of that. And now I want you to write the 3 things that you dislike about it. What are the 3 things that you hate? Go for it. Let's have a pity party. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's be honest. True Talk Tuesday, teachers. What are the 3 things that you dislike about it? Is it the mean emails? Is it the constant ungratefulness because you didn't do enough? Is it the entitlement of today's generation? Is it you being exhausted from doing everything and being expected to be a superhuman? Because that kind of falls into place. Is it the fact that it's not a 9-to-5 job? What is it that makes you all of a sudden take this love of dance and love of children and love of everything that we're doing and make you dislike it? Take a second, write those 3 things down. Now look at those 3 things individually, okay? Can you do anything about it? If you can, figure out what you're going to do. But if you cannot, it is what it is. Mark it out. Get over it. Because one of the things that we do is we constantly make excuses. We constantly have things bring us down. We constantly are letting things steal our joy when it comes to teaching and things like that. So if you can do something about it, then figure it out and do it. right? Figure it out, make the change, go back to why you love it, go back to being in the classroom with those kids, go back to doing wonderful things as an educator. But if you can't do anything about it, it is what it is, let it go. Because at the end of the day, you should wake up every day and love your job, because we have the best job on earth. We're working with children, we're changing children's lives. I always say this, we're working in sweats. I mean, come on. We listen to music, we're surrounded by people that are awesome. We just have the best job on earth. The other thing that I would kind of ask for you guys is, I get asked all the time when I go to work with the studio owners, how is your faculty? The first thing they say is, I have a couple of really great teachers, and then I have a few teachers that teach good classes, but they're just okay. So are you teaching an okay class? Are you teaching an amazing class? And I know that we all have our bad days, right? But I don't think that we have an option to make excuses for ourselves, because we're dealing with other people's children and we're dealing with lives. So this is what I always go back to. You don't know when that one day that you might have looked at that kid and said, you're so talented. You're the best kid I've ever seen in my life. You are going to do really wonderful things. You don't know if one of those days is going to be the day that that kid goes home and thinks to themselves, I love myself. I love everything about dance. I cannot wait to go back, and makes them feel amazing. So I think for us, and for me, I know as a teacher, I feel like a better human being in those kids' classes and knowing that I made a difference in some form or fashion. One of the things too is, raising the bar. A lot of times those kids are going to give you what you expect out of them. I expect excellence in my class. Now, excellence isn't being perfect. That's absolutely not what I'm expecting, but I am expecting them to do the very best with what God has given them, and the very best of what they can pull out of themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with asking children to work as hard as they possibly can. And maybe you're the only person in the world that expects that of them. I think that that's really fantastic. So going in and just setting the bar for your children and your dancers and your team, saying, listen, hi, I'm Miss Stephanie, I'm Miss Teresa, I'm Mr. Daniel, and this is what we are going to do in my class. We are going to be on time, and we are going to work hard from the second we walk in my class, and we're going to do it with a positive attitude. And no, we're not perfect, and no, we're not all at the same level of talent, but you are all special to me, and you are all the same in my eyes, and you are all going to be something really fantastic. And it might not be a professional dancer, but it might be CEO, and it might be a doctor that changes lives, and it might be someone that runs companies, and it might be someone that's going to do great things. And that's what I expect of you. And we're going to learn it through dance, and we're going to learn it through work ethic, and we're going to learn it by the way that we conduct ourselves as human beings. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with holding, a lot of times people talk about this generation and they talk about, well, the kids don't want to work hard and the kids don't want to do this. Well, let's make them. What's wrong with that? Let's make these kids love to dance and teach them what it feels like to push themselves past the point of comfortable. Because I don't know about you guys, and I've said it a lot, but it's almost like nobody had to ask me to dance full out. Nobody had to ask me to work really hard. Nobody had to ask me to do all those things, because I wanted it. Because to be honest, it's the only thing that I had. I wasn't smart and I wasn't cool. I was just really good at dancing. And so I think as teachers, we have to really go back and remember that we're doing so much more than teaching dance. I had a young lady that I was at studio with, and you could tell that she was a little bit kind of an outsider. And I'm always drawn to the underdogs. I'm always drawn to those kids because I don't know, I just love them. And she, she was I had them write down at the beginning what they were proud of. And I noticed that she didn't write anything down on her paper. And I said, you're not proud of anything? She said, no, I'm not. And I said, I bet there's something that you're proud of. What are you good at? She goes, I'm good at writing. I said, well, I'd love to read something that you write one day. Kind of walked off and kind of didn't push her too much. She was about 16 years old. Next morning, she showed up to me and she had a piece of paper, which I had, and I read it, and it was very disturbing what she wrote on the piece of paper to me. And I just walked up to her and I said, I just want to thank you for trusting me. And I think that you wrote really beautifully. So I just encouraged her through dance. She was not a great dancer by any means, but she needed that. She needed to be told that she was powerful and to let it out, and that she was going to make something of herself, and that she was noticed. She needed to be told that she was noticed, and that in that area, that space, that she was safe. And day 2, I walked up to her and I said, I think we might have a little bit more in common than you think. So at the end of the weekend, I had all the kids write down a letter. I said, I want you to write a letter to someone that is special to you. Maybe someone that just made a difference in your life. And she wrote the letter to me, and it talked about the abuse that happens in her life. And it talked about the abuse that happens at home. And it talked about her self-harm. And it talked about that nobody in her life has ever cared about her but 2 teachers. And in one day, she thinks that she might have found a third person that actually saw her. And that third person was me. And that made everything that I did worthwhile that weekend because of that one child. And was I teaching her? Did I teach her to do 17 turns in a la cinquante? No, I didn't. But I taught her to know that she was worth something. And that's when I go back, and I always know, and these are not on my papers, and we'll talk about time management. We can talk about maximizing your time, and we can talk about all these other things when it comes back into class. But at the end of the day, I want us to know that all of us as teachers have such a greater responsibility, and that is to know our children, to love every child that comes into the door, to notice their body language, to notice what's behind their eyes, and to love every kid, the good and the bad and the tall and the small and the little, and just hug on them a lot more. One of the things that I would talk about, would you want your child to take your class? Would you want your child to come take your class? And I know that we're all great dance teachers in a sense of education and a sense of knowledge and a sense of teaching the steps and teaching the know-how. But are we teaching more than dance? Are we teaching them to be good human beings? Are we teaching them to conduct themselves in a kind manner? Are we teaching them to be respectful? Are we teaching them to look at people in the eyes? Are we teaching them to just be great? And I think that's what I want to talk to a lot of teachers about, is continuing to demand that in your classes. So what I would really like for us to all do is try to figure out what our brand is going to be. What do you want to be known as a teacher? So I wanted to write some of these things down, is say you leave a room and you overhear your boss talking about you. What would you love to hear your boss say about you? What are some things that you would love to overhear them say? Write them down. Is it that you are irreplaceable? Is it that you are the most reliable, honest, hardworking, that you go above and beyond at all times? What are the things that are most important to you as an employee, as an educator, as a human being? And kind of write those down and think about that. The next step is your students. If you overheard all of your students in the dressing room talking about you, what would you want to hear them say? And I hope that it's not that you made them so flexible. And I hope that it's not that they did the most pirouettes. That could be a part of it, but I hope that's not it. What would you want to hear them say about Miss McKenzie or Miss Christina? And try to narrow it down to three things. And then the last one, and you guys are going to roll your eyes at me, is the parents. What would you like to hear your parents say about you? Say the parents are out there gossiping and they're talking about all the teachers, but they're talking about you. What do you want to hear them say? Because at the end of the deal, I remember being a very young teacher and not wanting the parents to be around and just thinking, oh, the parents are driving me crazy. Oh, I don't want the parents to watch. And I get it, until I became a parent myself. And they put that baby in my arms. And I remember thinking, if anybody hurts this child, I will scratch their face off like a spider monkey. So we've got to give them a break, in a sense of we all have a little cuckoo bird in us. And we want the best for our babies. So please remember that they are the ones paying the bills. And sometimes they get a little bit wackadoodleicious, and we understand that, but these are their kids, and we have to always think how we would want someone to treat our child. So at the end of the day, what do we want to hear them say about us? They just want their kids happy. So that's one of the things at the end of your classes. What do you want those kids to get in their Suburban saying? And it's just maybe join them in. And you can be hard on your kids. I was very hard on my students, very hard. I demanded respect. I demanded hard work. I demanded I was harder on them than their parents were, but they knew that I loved them. And so I think that's one of the things that we need to remember is teach a great class and hold them to those high standards, but bringing them in towards the end and just saying, listen, these are the things I want to work on. These are the things that were not okay with me today. I wasn't okay with, I was speaking and you were talking over me. That's not acceptable. Won't happen again. Number 2, we spoke about these lessons last week and I'm having to cover them again. No, thank you. Let's talk about what I do like. If you notice children's body language, when you start to give them a correction, they want to please you so badly that they start to get deflated after 2, no more than 3 of the I don't like, but then immediately, let me tell you what I loved. I love everything about your face. I love everything about y'all. I love the fact that you worked hard. I love the fact that I gave you a correction. You didn't like it, but you went back and you did it again. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Lift them up, lift them up, lift them up. And at the end of the day, just say, listen, we all have bad days. We all have really great days. None of what you can do will ever change the way that I feel about you. I am always your teacher. I am always your educator. I am always your biggest fan. And I will see you next week. Have the time of your life. Be good kids. Make good grades. Be respectful. I love you the most. Peace out. And it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be Kim's way of doing things by any means, because I'm no different than you guys. I think that what we have to remember is that what stinks a little bit is that we don't get enough time to go in each teacher's class, because I would love to sit and listen to every single one of you guys talk for 30 minutes, because I would take notes down, but it's almost like, when do we have time? Right? We don't have time to get in faculty meetings as much as I preach that we should. We don't have as much time to go sit and listen to someone talk or watch them teach a class. But we've got to continue our education just a little bit more, because we all have these ideas in our head and we start to bounce these ideas a little bit more off of each other. We're just going to grow as teachers. We're just going to get better. And I think that's with the generation changing and things, kids changing and we just need to keep it up. We need to stay one step ahead of them and remember that we're the adults. I think a lot of times teachers say to me in our faculty meetings, well, Kim, I can't get my teenagers to do this. I can't get my kids to do that. They won't listen. They won't work hard. They won't whatever. Well, you're the grown-up. So what can we do teaching wise? And I think that's a really great gift is when kids are not doing what you want in class, that is your job as an educator to find a way to make it happen. That is the greatest thing in the whole world, is that's when we have to step up our game as educators and think about, what do I need to do, or how do I change my plan of action here? How do I change my tone? How do I change my vibe? How do I change my wording to get these kids to do what I'm wanting them to do in a positive manner? Always positivity, I think. Never negative. Never negative. I would love to talk about really quickly that if we ever, to always remember that it's when we're talking as a studio, then we're talking as a faculty. If we're talking as a studio owner coming to us and asking us certain things that she is wanting or he is wanting for our brand, that it's not personal, that it's a business. And we are in a customer service business. So I think us as artists get our feelings hurt a lot of times when someone says, hey, I don't want you to do this in class, or I wish that you didn't do that, or I wish that you didn't do this. But remember not to take it personal, because at the end of the day, there's certain, certain regions can get away with certain things, certain cities can get away with certain things. At the end of the day, we're all working together as a team to build that studio up, to build that brand up. And working together, I think, is the most important. It's very important that you know that not one teacher is going to make a studio great. Everybody has got to work together on the same page. Consistent training. And I use this a lot of times if two parent people were married and they got divorced, and he got a new wife, she got a new husband, and they each had a separate set of rules for how they were going to raise their children. How would any of these children have any consistency in their upbringing whatsoever? Does that make sense? It's the same way I feel if we're not on the same page as a faculty. So they go to one class and they get a separate set of rules, and they have, say they're working on rolling through their feet. Okay, rolling through the feet, articulation. Then they go here and they learn something else. Then they go here and learn something else. Then they go learn here and learn something else. Those kids, it's not into their muscle memory. It's just going shoomp, shoomp. So that's why I'm really big on getting together as a team and saying, hey, what are we building right now? Are we on the same goal? Are we on the same path? Let's get together and see if we can knock this out and get some consistency in training. Let's get some consistency on work ethic, same values, same goals, same everything, and then move forward from there, because that's where I see kind of the lack in all of that. Feels weird talking to you guys right now, and nobody's talking back. I'm just in my little office talking to the screen. It actually shouldn't feel weird, because that's what I do on a normal basis, to be quite honest. I would love to talk more about, I want to keep them short. I want to keep it around 20-30 minutes, but I would love to have feedback. You guys can write me at kim@kimmcswain.com to talk more about some of the things that we're struggling with as teachers, so that we can talk a little bit more about topics to bring them up so it can be a little bit more interactive. Let me know how it's going in classes. I have some great tools to get things out of teenagers. I have some great things to keep kids involved as far as the little bitties. I have a lot of great tools that I use. I think today, and please always remember that I never want it to seem as if I'm talking at you. I'm just talking with you, because I want, I love you, Steph, so much. You're so sweet. Yeah. I just think it's so important that we stay positive and we remember that we're doing such great things for these kids. The only reason I didn't get in trouble as a kid is because I was horrified that I would, that my dance teacher, Miss Joyce, would ever find out. And she was just the love of my life. And I don't think that you guys understand what these kids think about you. they love you and they look up to you and you are their heroes. And I know that's a lot of pressure, but go ahead and have some coffee and put those hero capes on and walk into class today and do really great things. And maybe sometimes it's not just making sure they're perfect, and it's not that they have to win that high score. It's that they just need to feel loved and they need to feel pretty and smart and talented. So I would encourage you to all go today and kind of look at your brand, your expectations, some new charts that you want to talk about with your kids, and finish January off really excited. And I know that you guys are in competition season. Stay strong. Don't hurt anybody. Be nice at competition, everybody. It's just a trophy. Okay, I'll see you guys. Let's do it next Tuesday. Again, please send me some things that you guys want to talk about, and we'll continue with this, and maybe we'll find a way to make it more interactive. Okay, happy Tuesday, everybody. Go change some lives. Bye. See, now I don't know how to end it. Yay.